If you follow the WNBA, this moment matters. The league's biggest star has broken her silence. Players are openly challenging leadership, and sponsors and fans are watching closely. We're unpacking what Caitlin Clark said, why Nafisa Collier's comments lit the fuse, how Commissioner Cathy Engelbert responded, and what it all means to the upcoming collective bargaining agreement. Before we dive in, tap subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update on the WNBA's negotiations, player safety, and the 2026 season outlook. And tell us in the comments, is Caitlin Clark standing up for what's right, or has this gone too far? Let's start with the obvious. Caitlin Clark is not the type to throw gasoline on a fire. Throughout her rookie year, she stayed focused on the court, avoided political spats, and let the noise swirl around her. She delivered ratings, merchandise sales, and sellouts while absorbing some of the most physical defense the league has seen, body checks, hard contact, and flagrant level hits that many fans and analysts felt were not called consistently. Despite that, she still had an exceptional rookie season. And yet, her name has steadily become the lightning rod for every debate. Players' safety, media narratives, league marketing, and now labor politics. The spark this time came from Nafisa Collier's exit interview, a 6-minute segment that dominated headlines and pulled attention from the WNBA Finals. Collier, a star forward and one of the WNBPA's vice presidents, recounted a private conversation she said she had with Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. According to Collier, Engelbert allegedly told her that Clark should be grateful for the WNBA because, without it, she wouldn't be making so much in endorsements. That single sentence exploded across social media, cable talk shows, and podcasts within hours. Players weighed in. Fans took sides. The league scrambled. Engelbert called a press conference before Game 1 of the Finals to address the claim. She flatly denied ever making that comment, praised Clark as a transformational player, and tried to steer the conversation back to basketball. She also suggested broader inaccuracies in how her exchange with Collier had been characterized. To many viewers, it sounded like she was labeling a union leader's account as false. On national TV, during the league's marquee event, the optics were brutal. Collier isn't a random poster online. She's a vice president of the Players Association and an active participant in CBA negotiations. Dismissing her account publicly wasn't just about one quote. It landed like a rebuke of a PA executive in the thick of the most consequential labor talks in league history. From there, the situation snowballed. Engelbert said she had reached out to Collier to clear the air. ESPN reported that Collier canceled the meeting. The commissioner, according to that reporting, learned of the cancellation from the media. That's how strained the lines of communication have become. This is where Clark's role shifted. Asked about Collier's comments, Clark said, "I think Fee made a lot of valid points," adding, "We need great leadership at this time across all levels. This is a moment we have to capitalize on." It was a calm, measured statement, but make no mistake, it was a line in the sand. For months, fans accused Clark of being too quiet, of staying out of league politics. In a single sentence, she validated a union leader's concerns and sent a signal that the league's most marketable player wants better alignment from the top. From that moment, Clark's posture changed. No long threads, no name-calling. Instead, she pulled back on league-centric reposts, avoided finals commentary, and engaged with posts that questioned leadership's credibility and priorities. Fans noticed. Journalists noticed. Her silent protest gave shape to a wider frustration among players and supporters who believe the WNBA has not fully matched its words with actions on player safety, transparency, and strategic communication. It's important to step back and see the bigger picture. The WNBA is negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, with a lockout in 2026 a very real possibility if talks stall. Salaries, travel standards, season length, revenue sharing, and media rights are all on the table. Two high-profile union leaders, Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart, are also co-founders of Unrivaled, a new off-season league. Some owners and executives privately worry about conflict of interest. If the WNBA were to shutter for a season during a lockout, Unrivaled would gain leverage and visibility as players seek alternate income. Fair or not, that suspicion fuels mistrust. When a commissioner and a PA vice president are trading public jabs, Even indirectly, it undermines confidence on all sides. Meanwhile, Clark sits at the center of every storyline. Ticket revenue, TV ratings, jersey sales, sponsorships. Her presence supercharges each category. It's no exaggeration. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than she needs the WNBA. Yet too often, she's become a prop in other people's arguments. Her early season treatment on the court, hard fouls, rough contact, sparked viral clips and days of discourse about officiating consistency and the league's willingness to protect its most visible star that remained unresolved, at least in the public's mind. When leadership later tried to spin her success as proof that the platform made her, not the other way around, even if that wasn't the commissioner's intent, it landed poorly in a fan base that watched Clark carry sellouts in broadcast windows across multiple cities. The fan reaction has been loud and unusually unified. Clark supporters and Collier supporters, who don't always agree on social, converge on a single point. Leadership looks out of step with the moment. The memes were brutal, the threads long, the fire Cathy chants prominent. To be fair, a portion of fans argued that Collier should have kept the original comments private, or that Clark should have stayed neutral. But that misses the bind the league put Clark in. When you make one player the face of the brand, silence becomes a statement. She gets blamed for speaking up and blamed for staying quiet. That is not a sustainable marketing or governance strategy. The business stakes could not be higher. The WNBA is in a growth window with increased sponsor interest, record attendance in some markets, and rising national ratings. This is precisely the wrong time to project disunity and public infighting. Brands weigh credibility and risk. Networks want clean narratives, not open-ended disputes. Fans want to celebrate the game, not parse dueling statements. The longer this drags on, the more leverage the league loses in the CBA, and the harder it becomes to sell the 2026 season as a sure thing. Coaches and former stars have begun weighing in, often cautiously. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White has previously suggested that Clark is being used as a pawn in other people's battles. A quote that feels painfully apt now. When players believe they're not heard, they build their own platform. And Clark has the biggest platform in the sport. She is a brand, an economy, and a one-person media engine. If that kind of player loses trust in leadership, the entire system shakes. There's also the question of player welfare and officiating consistency. The league cannot credibly market its biggest names while shrugging off concerns about physical play. If contact that would be whistled differently in men's leagues becomes a weekly highlight in the WNBA, that's a problem. On TV and in the training room, this is not about coddling stars. It's about consistent rule enforcement, competitive integrity, and protecting the investment the league has made in its most valuable assets. Engelbert's communications approach hasn't helped. Press conferences have leaned on corporate language. We're listening, we value our players. That feels disconnected from the urgency players describe. Fans and media aren't buying it. The calendar of events, Collier canceling a meeting, players posting about solidarity, Clark validating Collier's concerns, reads like a slow-rolling vote of no confidence. Behind the scenes, even NBA executives are said to be watching. The WNBA operates under the NBA's umbrella. If sponsors, broadcasters, and players keep losing trust, there will be pressure on the league office to intervene or at least to reset the communication strategy. No one is calling for that publicly yet, but the whispers are there. What should happen next? First, reset the tone. The commissioner and union leadership must meet, on terms that both sides can accept, and establish basic ground rules for how private discussions are protected and how public disputes are handled. Second, address players' safety and officiating head-on. Fans and players want clarity. What constitutes excessive contact, what the league expects from officials, and how the competition committee will ensure consistency. Third, to weaponize Caitlin Clark's name in every debate. She is a player and a stakeholder, not a bargaining chip. Leadership should take responsibility for putting her at the center of every storyline and commit to elevating the broader cast of stars and teams alongside her. Fourth, improve transparency in the CBA process without negotiating through the press. The league and the union should jointly outline the key categories under discussion: travel, salary cap, revenue sharing, season structure. so fans understand what's at stake without turning every negotiation into a headline. Finally, invest in trust building. Regular on-the-record listening sessions with players, coaches, and medical staff, proactive briefings with sponsors, and a clear public timeline for CBA milestones. It's worth acknowledging a narrow point in Engelbert's favor. She has denied the exact comment that became the flashpoint here. It is possible she didn't say it, but leadership is judged not only by the accuracy of a quote, it's judged by credibility, consistency, and emotional intelligence. When a large portion of the locker room believes the league minimizes her concerns, when a star player feels compelled to signal her support for union leadership, and when the general public cannot tell what to believe, the problem is bigger than one sentence. The WNBA is at a crossroads. On one side is a golden opportunity, expansion, investment-packed buildings, and the brightest rookie class in years. On the other is a self-inflicted credibility crisis, one that has overshadowed the basketball and turned the finals into a backdrop for finger-pointing. You can't sell one big family in ads while publicly undermining union leaders and leaving your most important players feeling isolated. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be the face of a political fight, but by saying 4 words, Fee made valid points. She reminded the league that star power runs both directions. It can lift ratings, and it can expose weaknesses. This isn't about a villain arc. It's about an athlete with massive influence deciding that silence won't fix what's broken. The message to leadership is simple. Stop using her name as a shield and start solving the problems that keep surfacing around it. What happens from here will shape the WNBA's next era. If the commissioner, owners, and union can reset the conversation, prioritize player welfare, and negotiate in good faith, the league can turn this into a case study in modern sports governance. If not, the 2026 season and the years of momentum built around Clark, Collier, Stewart, Boston, and others will be at risk. We'll be tracking every development from the next public statements to the first tangible CBA proposals. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. When the league and the Players Association make their next moves, we'll break them down with context you can trust. Now tell us below, should Caitlin Clark keep speaking up? Do you believe Nafee's a Collier's account? Or did this spiral out of control? And what one change, officiating consistency, travel, revenue sharing, would you prioritize in the next CBA? Your take matters because the future of the WNBA is being written in real time.